So, there probably is no better video that kind of summarizes, I guess, the current state of affairs of, you could say, dating coach, red pill, black pill philosophy than this video by my man Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews. Which I would love to know how he got his username, because I'm pretty sure his channel originally didn't start off being Manosphere content. Now, I will preface this video by saying I actually like Mediocre a lot, actually. I mean, I really do. I regularly watch his videos, but, sometimes I feel like he's more going through the motions than providing some good biting commentary. This may be a good example. So again, I'm not here to bash this dude that honestly looks like me in 10 years. It's a bit eerie sometimes. Like, I look at his face and then I look at mine and I'm like, Anyway, he'll take us away.
Famous. But irrespective of all of that, what I wanted to do is call out 3 concepts that came to mind that are uniquely specific to the talking points that are called out in this sector as it relates to this video. And why is it so important? Well, while y'all are just looking at a video, I see something completely different, because the modern woman today is more likely to share Drake as opposed to choose a nuclear physicist.
I think it's important to preface that while it's true, we certainly do have a huge bed of, honestly, prostitute-minded women, because I think the stipulation, or at least the categorization, does need to be highlighted, that we do have a lot of modern women that literally think like a prostitute would think. Let's sharpen that edge a little bit. Most of these women might share a dude. They might be in a rotation. Most of them aren't going to do so, like, officially. It's more so the dude is probably lying to them, for one. And if the woman is aware of it, it's kind of more like out of sight, out of mind. Like, most ladies, they're not like, high-fiving each other, like, yo, your turn. Aha, I warmed them up for you. That's not really how it's going. What more than anything is what they're trying to do is beat out the other women to get to that guy. Now again, so he is right that this is going on, but I do think we need to be clear on the scope and motivations of what's occurring here, because the ultimate objective for these women is to become special. They are trying to elevate themselves above other women. If they're in the same rotation, then they're not special. Their purpose is defeated. And to that extent, if those women aren't motivated by the need for validation, then they're just motivated by the need for resources, and thus they are just prostitutes.
The first concept can be described as the 90-10 rule, where 90% of the women want 10% of the men.
Now again, this is just a wee bit hyperbolic, okay? Just a smidge, okay? It's, again, when I coined this phrase many years ago, it was 80-20. I don't really think things have gotten to this extent of, like, legitimately 90-10. Not even as an over-exaggerate. Like, it literally obviously isn't the case. I don't even think, as an exaggerated sense, it's this case of 90-10. I do think that this is hilariously heavy-handed, and people are still able to get into relationships. However, there is a strong phenomena of women wanting the special super ultra omega male. Like, they want, they want Captain America that has, Batman's money. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're trying to get the super ultimate dude. This is true. But again, we got to be careful about the scope. We got to be careful about how much we try to, like, frame this as reality, because I do think that this is a bit heavy-handed. And it's definitely not 90-10, okay? Because if it is 90-10, there's no point in trying. Like, there's no point. There's no victory in this game for the vast majority of young men. It's dead on arrival. So you really would be supporting black pill mentalities, then you'd be trying to argue against it, which is an important thing we need to talk about here, But we'll get to it.
Let's see the earth that we live in, because I'm trying to become more than a 10% man, but it's not for women. It's in pursuit of my own purpose. But then a secondary or an ancillary benefit of that is access to women.
Yeah, and that's a really, really strange or befuddling thing to me, right? Because if this is the case, then you just have a state of affairs. It's just not sustainable for numerous reasons. But the thing that would be interesting still is it's not sustainable. It's a whole market that is created on a lie of scarcity, on a lie of necessity, on a lie of validation. Why do these women need any of these super omega ultra high value males? Does any one of them actually need to utilize that dude's resources to accomplish anything in life? What's this you say? Most of them just want to exist in his presence and then just buy a bunch of materialistic objects and just hang around and feel special and important? None of them actually wants to take their resources to like buy a house or like buy a business in a community and then circulate that money into an economy and bring other people into a much better state? None of them want to do that. So why are we placating them? These women have no plans and no objective to do anything for anybody but themselves, including their own children. They don't even care about them most of the time. But you're not upset with the current state of affairs that these women keep funneling up to men to absorb their resources to do, once again, nothing but be with them.
Let's see of the earth that we live in, because I'm trying to become more than a 10% man, but it's not for women. It's in pursuit of my own purpose. But then a secondary or an ancillary benefit of that is access to women.
But then for what? Like, let's say you reach this goal, this illustrious goal of being more than a 10% man. Then what? I mean, you would know better than me, they're your goals. But it does seem to me, to some capacity, you are indeed motivated by having your ability to get women. Like, let's not pretend that that's not, like, probably a good 60% of what motivates you. You're not going to tell me that because if you're intelligent enough to recognize that you don't need to be a more than 10% man, because once again, once you hit about, let's add inflation, once you hit about $90,000 a year, probably still realistically like $80,000 a year, your quality of life doesn't change too much once you go higher than that. Like, once you get your basic necessities squared, your quality of life remains the same. Like, you're not really, like, anything you could have gotten, like, I guess at 130, you would have got at like 80. I mean, there's more expensive stuff. You can buy more illustrious food. You may be able to jet set a little bit more, but for the most part, all your basic necessities of life are covered. You're done. You've won the game. Now you just kind of coast. Now everything else is just vacations and just a whole bunch of fun, frilly party stuff. But you didn't need all that access to get there. Like, once you got comfortable, once you got to a stable state, you're good. You didn't need to continue to high. So what is it that's driving you to keep going up there? Now, honestly, for a lot of dudes, it's like, it's this power-hungry OCD, sometimes kind of cruel, evil Machiavellian machinations in their mind. You're talking about like a lot of like business tycoons and CEOs have like this programming in them that forces them to keep going and pushing and get more and more and more, this greed inside of them. You guys have all seen the memes. You guys have probably all seen dudes like this. But for the most part, most normal people don't need that much access. And it's also really silly still to ask or to even suggest that you should be striving to become a 10% man, especially when, like, are you going to start like a movie production company and like start producing movies? If so, that would be reasonable. But if you're going to become a 10% man to do nothing but just have a hoard of money, then you haven't really helped the economy. You've actually kind of hurt it. So obtaining all those resources to do nothing with them is, to me, hilariously silly. But I don't know what your plans and machinations are. I just think it's cap to sit here and pretend that a huge portion of that motivation is not to get some women. It's cap. It's full metal cap.
But also, too, don't confuse just your utility in life with also being able to get the women that you so desire. There's other things you have to build up as well, such as how you speak to women, your game, your mouthpiece.
Man, God forbid those things are your honor, the way you treat people, your integrity, the way you treat yourself, your intelligence, your wisdom, and your problem-solving skills whenever you encounter issues that aren't immediately solvable, and whenever you encounter issues in your life that you have to think critically and think outside the box to fix. No. You don't need to cultivate. Don't worry about cultivating all of that. You need game. Focus on your game, bruh. Focus on talking to women, because they're not just people. Look, listen. I'm honestly kind of getting really tired of us pretending that women aren't people that you can just talk to. In fact, what we should be doing as men is learning to talk to women more frankly, politely, of course, but frankly, telling them what's good, telling them how we feel, telling them what's up. And stop with all these wishy-washy, playful games and texting nonsense. Tell them what it is. Women are human beings. They're people. Just talk to them like they're people. Now, some of them might be absolutely bloody crazy, but honestly, the entire point, well, I say the entire, one of the biggest reasons why I highlight a lot of different thought and behaviors is so I can give you guys the tools to see those women and see those bad characteristics before you get involved with them so you can eject. So if you ever wondered why I spent so much time talking about thoughts, that's why. It's to give you guys a catalog of all these bad behaviors so you guys are like, oh wait, hold on, Zer said this and he saw that and okay, I gotta get out of here. That's why I've discussed them so often, at least in the past. I haven't really talked too much about them lately. Regardless, the ultimate point that I'm making is that I guess you do need to learn how to have good, strong social skills, but like the utilization of like learning how to talk to women, listen, bruh, they're people. What you really need to do is learn how to treat them like they're people and just talk to them. Like, don't treat them like they're anything better than you. Don't treat them like they're lower than you. Be neutral. They're people. Just talk to them. That's all you gotta do. Goodness.
Your mouthpiece. The second thing I want to call out, men decide relationships. Women decide sex.
Okay, but why would a man want to be in a relationship with a woman? Nay, what exactly is the critical element of a relationship that makes it different from a normal friendship?
Fact right here pisses modern women off. Why? Because they feel powerless within that. But
Well, yes, they would be powerless. I mean, if that is indeed the current state of affairs in which they cannot have consistent relations with the men they want, yes, they would indeed be powerless. I mean, what you modern incels are pissed off because they can't have relationships or sex with women because they feel powerless. Yeah.
Than that. But your average IG model and like, let's say the women that are down up here, let's take another look at it again. While these women DMs are lit up, it's not lit up with dudes that are trying to get in relationships with them. It's dudes that want the butt. How many of these women are creating content where it's a bunch of men lined up for them? I mean, even in your mind, just switch the genders of what's happening right here. Imagine a bride standing up there in Drake's position and a whole bunch of grooms. It doesn't even make sense.
Well, the reason why it doesn't really make sense is because of gender roles, right? I mean, men are particularly providers to women. Women particularly are provided for by men. And the reason why is because they get pregnant and are a bit helpless to a certain extent. So a woman can't really be impregnated by a line of dudes. So how could she really maintain a relationship like that? I mean, honestly, I don't really think she could. To be fair, I don't really think a man could maintain a relationship with 90 wives, but I digress, not the point. The point is, a dude could have the resources, unlikely, but could have lots of resources to be able to take care of maybe 90 children, right? I mean, it's possible, unlikely, but possible. On the flip side, a woman can only really get pregnant by one dude. That's why the opposite is, I'm going to be honest with you, absurd.
End of the day, it's men that are getting on bended knee. It's men making the decision to form with this holy matrimony and become monogamous with this person for the safety and the security of this woman, that over time, the things that the man selected her for will begin to degrade. So you can kind of think of it as a relationship pension plan. And if the guy's the breadwinner, an actual pension plan.
Yeah, going back to what I said before, if men get into relationships with women so they can have sex and companionship with them, but women are the ones that control who gets to have sex, then who's in control of who starts the relationship? If men want sex from the woman, but the women decide who gets to have sex. But if men get to decide who gets to have relationships, but there's no sex, then there's no relationship. There's no distinguishing part of what makes that relationship different from a friendship. So So like, well, so what is it really? Well, the honest answer is each individual, like a relationship is mutual, and sex, the acquisition of sex is also mutual. Now, here's the thing. Some women would like to pretend that they don't really have as much choice or options as men. I remember this one lady had, this asinine point.
Men have it way easier with dating. Let me explain why. Men pick who they pursue versus women pick through who pursued. Big difference. Society says that the man pursues the woman. This means that men get to go through an incredibly healthy exercise of looking at all their options, deciding what they want, and then spending their time pursuing that. Versus women are taught to sit back, wait to be pursued, and then from there you decide what you do and do not want from potential suitors coming up to you. This is way more time intensive, and let me paint a picture of why. A man who comes up to you and you decide there's some things you like, some things you don't know about. You go ahead and give him a chance. After getting to know him for 2 weeks, you decide it's not right for you. That means you just spent 2 weeks on somebody that you may or may not have picked out of a crowd to begin with. And a lot of us women don't even realize that this is happening because this is just the way things are. So it's incredibly distracting to figure out what you want when you're in the process of this kind of dating.
Now, on the surface, this all makes sense, right? Because, men are the ones that are engaging and approaching women more. And because women are oftentimes far more passive than men, they kind of just have to wait around to see what type of dudes come talk to them. This is actually why you might see from time to time a really, really attractive young lady with a dude that you probably think ain't really all that good looking or just downright ugly. It's because after no one ever talking to her or approaching her, this dude finally did. And so she's like, well, nobody else wants to talk to me, and she just kind of gives up. It's not a really great state of affairs, at all, but that's what happens from time to time. So I do understand why on the surface it's easy for ladies to feel powerless in this situation, or why this woman who made that TikTok could have that asinine point. However, the reality is, nothing stops women from just approaching the men that they want. You see, there's plenty of TikToks of ladies starting to do that now, just to start us off. But number two, lots of young ladies can just reject constantly the men they don't want. They may end up alone eventually, but they can do it. There's nothing really stopping them. They still kind of have the power in that regard. In all actuality, when it all comes down to it, both men and women have the power to decide what type of relationships they want. I think it's really silly to reduce people into this stupid power grab here. You have the power of relationships, men. Ladies, you have the power of sexuality, and you must use the powers and controls you have to gain what type of relationship and outcome you want. Maybe we can just treat each other like fucking people and just talk about what we want. Maybe. Maybe it's not a game. Maybe it's life.
Third thing, last but not least, hypergamy makes women become groupies. Hypergamy and being a generous dude will let you get away with a ton of shit.
Yes, because you're an asset. It's the cost-benefit analysis. You have a lot of resources. So if you have sex with another woman, the woman doing the cost-benefit analysis will say, oh, my pride is hurt, but I have a house. My feelings are hurt, but I have food to eat. So he can have sex with that woman. I will be okay. It might hurt my feelings a lot, but this bed is really, really warm. That's how they think. Is it wrong? Is it right? I think it's probably wrong, but that's what they're doing. It's just the cost-benefit analysis.
With a ton of shit. R.I.P. to my friend Kevin Samuels. Well, what was it that he said? High-value men don't cheat. They got options. This is exactly what he meant. I really wish that the Godfather was alive right now because I already know he would have a field day with this particular video. But think about it for a second. Do male groupies even exist? What female athlete or entertainer, when they show up, have heterosexual men throwing themselves up over barricades, shouting their name, I love you, da 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 da.
I mean, my man, the way women have groupies is a bit different than the way men have groupies, right? And that's just because it's more socially acceptable for women to be so outwardly sexual in this way, or like throw themselves out sexually in such a way. And again, I mean, society is really, really confusing on this front, which honestly could be its whole like video dissection. But women being sexually aggressive to men is oftentimes seen as acceptable because, ironically, typically, women are not oftentimes sexually aggressive to men. So if a woman is acting out of pocket, it's seen as a compliment towards the man in question. Because a lot of dudes live in deficit, they see a woman acting in this way, and sometimes it's used as, I'm going to be honest with you, the carrot on a stick, or the end goal for men being motivated to accomplish becoming the ultra super mega omega dude male guy, whatever pejorative I was using. The point is, you don't really see female stars have like crazy male groupies is because they'd be considered stalkers. Also, most of the male groupies are just a bunch of thirsty comments on Instagram, so. Also, most males that follow the women, they want to smash and dash, they want to pump and dump. The women that are groupies actually want to obtain resources, so they want some type of relationship with the dude. So it just expresses itself differently. I mean, but it's kind of, it's all the same ultimately at the end of the day.
Why? Because men typically date down while women typically date up.
Well, that would be the case ipso facto. If men are going down, women have to go up. What other direction would they be going? Come on, it goes without saying. I mean, come on. Also, that's not entirely even true, actually. Most marriages actually occur with people who hover around the same social economic class. They don't really occur with like huge amount of deficits. I mean, you'll see that from time to time, but typically those relationships actually don't end in marriage. Again, you'll see it from time to time, but for the most part, it is not dudes with a whole bunch of money like dating women that have not all too much money. Most people do actually hover around the same social economic area. Look at all the different Hollywood stars that you probably see. They're mostly with one another. Most high value males are typically with like Instagram groupies who are still making lots amount of money. They're not typically finding the chick that still works at like IHOP or Denny's or something and like flipping her life around. Even though a dude would do that, typically he's not taking her for his wife, if those type of men take wives at all. But again, that's still a bunch of generalizations.
And for the quest of going up, they understand that they have less things to leverage to keep you under control. So let me conclude right here. I don't want to drag this on too long. What's the moral of the story? Gentlemen, continue to increase your value to this world. Continue to work hard, 60 hours a week or more. Cut out the negative vibes or the negative juju in your life. Keep your circle tight and full of awesome, amazing people. Earn yourself a high income earning skill to increase your money earning potential.
So I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to leave this video off here with a bit of a cliffhanger because we're absolutely, positively, definitely going to come back to talk about this because we really, really need to talk about this. It's not something that's going to make people feel good, but medicine, as I typically say, is often bitter. It's not going to feel good when you take it, but ultimately it's going to help you. So I'm going to leave you guys with this. We're going to listen to this Reddit post here. I'm going to sign us out because we will absolutely, positively come back to discuss it.
Wildly incelish rant. I was recently told by a girl I was seeing that she wanted to be with someone she could be proud of. Someone who is better than herself. Not me, according to her. First of all, ouch. Not the first time this happens. I am not tall or muscular. I do not exude confidence. I do not behave in the most conventional, manly way. It's not who I am, nor who I want to be. I've cut ties with my family years ago. I've struggled with anxiety my entire life and also depression in recent years. My support network is incredibly small, and I'm having to learn alone as an adult a lot of basic stuff most kids learn from their parents: self-love, confidence, relationship skills. Despite all that crap, I am an engineer in one of the biggest tech companies in the world. I make 20 times my country's average salary and am on my way to retire before 40. I taught myself English through games and music. I lost over 50 pounds in the last year and am now working to get a body I can be proud of. I've been working on my mental health since the beginning of the pandemic. Anxiety is no longer a struggle, and despite all this rant, the world seems a lot easier to navigate nowadays, thanks to Dr. K and to therapy. I don't have a lot of friends, but I try my best to be there for them and help them whenever they need me. They treasure me, and I treasure them too. The girl I mentioned above seems to be/have none of these things, by the way. I'm writing this because I am truly proud of the person I am and the things I've accomplished. However, it seems like most people don't see me like that. When it comes to people and relationships, it feels as if hard work and consistency can never beat natural selection. Nobody cares about all my progress. No amount of effort or goodwill seems to be enough. If a man is born 5 inches taller, the world treats him like gold. If a man is taught self-love and confidence from loving parents, all doors seem to open for him at the slightest touch. Meanwhile, I'm invisible. I have to scream just so people know I'm here. Whenever other people are involved, everything is a lot harder. Everything I get has to be earned. I try to think positively. All the extra hard work will make me stronger, more resilient, smarter. All the tangible, useful qualities I've been acquiring will outweigh the fact that I'm 5'8" and a bit shy. Yet, I'm still alone. Maybe I'm wrong. So I'm starting to think no amount of effort will be enough. I'm starting to think I'm doomed to run in circles. No one will ever see the awesomeness and the potential I see in myself. What's the point? So I could use some external inputs and new perspectives on this. I'm running out of ideas, patience, and hope. By the way, this is not my usual mood. I had a bad week. Sorry if it sounds arrogant, envious, entitled, incelish. Hope it's okay to vent here. Thanks for reading.